Selamat petang, YB dan Tan Sri. YB, just to add on to what has been said earlier, if you see the Sri, one is in terms of the delivery models, right? So I think I've mentioned this before also. In terms of whatever we have given out, whether we look at the Laksana, I think the 60th Laksana report was just released by our Honorable Finance Minister. So if you look at the Sri, we are still only there in terms of the number of companies that have been assisted. If you take the micro and SRF, it's only about 40,000 companies, about $12.5 billion in terms of the money. So despite whatever is happening, and 17 months later, Dr. Sri, we cannot use the business as usual approach. And asking for comparisons to pre-pandemic levels are really not the proper denominator. So whether it is small, micro story, which is going to BSN Tekun, or even the mid-tier companies going to SME Bank or the DFIs, or even the bigger companies that are going to, even Penjana, Dana Jamin, it seems to having the same common issue, which is pre-comparison to pre-pandemic, and then taking future prospects, which anyway none of us are able to predict in terms of how long this pandemic is going to last. So I think that Tan Sri quite aware that I think local chambers have actually proposed that maybe use a institutional approach to manage this systemic problem. I think that's where the idea of a Dana Rakyat came through. I'm sure it can be modified if Dr. Sri remembers that we presented in the AAC. That is one, Dr. Sri. Second, if you look at it, Dr. Sri, in terms of this National Recovery Plan, while we are very, very supportive of that phased approach and the thing that we will take it to phase 4 as fast as possible with higher vaccinations, but the granular data is missing, Dr. Sri. It took some time. I think Tan Sri Nur Hisham chatted with all the chambers over the weekend. Baru masa tu dia bagi tahu yang angka 12.2 per 100,000 penduduk is the cut-off point to fasa 1 kepada fasa 2. Tapi masa yang Muhammad Perdana Menteri membuat pengumuman tu, memang tak ada angka tu. So everybody was stuck in this 4,000, and why should 4,000 be a number that is plucked from air? So maybe while the National Recovery Plan is there, but I think government should come up with a very clear, at least some tech, Dr. Sri, in terms of a dashboard saying, look, that is where the clear transition. So now we know 1 to 2 is 12.2 over 100,000 penduduk. But what about 2 to 3? And what about the subsequent ones? And what about the healthcare capacity? Now it's 75%. But when does it go down lower, Dr. Sri? That is 2. Because to us, from the business community, planning is very important, Dr. Sri. And we kind of need to know where we are, at least a very agile in terms of the prospects. And even if you look at the other data sets, Dr. Sri, we have not really maximized our data that we have so much in terms of whether the LHDN data or even the GKP data or even the data that MITI has got in terms of ecosystem. That should be maximized, and I think somebody should do some sort of a data mining to exactly map out where the businesses are. Because why I'm bringing that up, Dr. Sri, is the thing is, again, unfair comparisons to pre-pandemic levels. Tan Sri Noor probably very aware that this 600,000 households have moved from M40 to B40. So if we use the older denominator, these people will be completely missed out of that safety nets, whether we're looking at the Bantuan Khas COVID or whether we're looking at the benefits that are coming out from the banking system. This group of people will be completely unfairly measured because they're using their old pre-pandemic levels. Third one, Dr. Sri, in terms of this institutional approach, again, what my friend Amir actually mentioned, I think we must get this other ministries. MITI has been one of them who's been extremely proactive, whether it is from a WhatsApp group perspective where they put everybody onto it, even in the early days in MCO1, until today, where a lot of issues have been able to be thrashed out and come out. Whereas other ministries, much like KPD and HUP doesn't have it, KPKT doesn't have it, and other ministries that are involved in the business segments really don't have it. So that interaction, while MITI has kind of have a good system with feedbacks and observations and everything, KPD, none of the other ministries are there. And I think MOF must sit across all these institutions. And the fourth point, in terms of vaccination, while YB Khairi is doing a great job in terms of ramping up, we are 300,000 plus every day. But I think the self-testing and this testing for workers, it must be both affordable and accessible. Because Tan Sri DG mentioned that, yes, self-testing kits are going to come onto the market, but the affordability is one, And second, even when it comes out of the market, it cannot be, I believe some of it says it must be done by a medical personnel. If it's going to be done by a medical personnel, it's as good as going to the clinic. It must be self-testing. So that modality, as we start looking at COVID from an endemic approach and looking at a new narrative, I hope the government be able to realign some of these prospects to make sure that we actually go into the recovery phase, that's just my quick takes. Thank you.
Okay, some general remarks as well as some specific. Yeah. Okay, Dato', terima kasih.